Hi, Cody Kaiser here, and to all of you marks out there, the Pro Wrestling Podcast with the best wrestling talk and best deals is and forever will be right here on Sit Down Marks Podcast.
Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me.
What's happening, people? Come on in, sit down. Episode number 161 of the Sit Down Marks Podcast. Man, I'm fired up today. I'm glad that all you guys are joining us, man. We're in for a good one today. It's all about pro wrestling schools and academies in the Dropkick discussion today. So if you're an aspiring wrestler, referee, you want to learn about the business, get in the business, well, this is the show for you, because we're going to run down, well, if you're in the USA, by the way, because we're going to run down all the top schools in academies in the United States in pro wrestling. So excited for that. But let me introduce you to my panel of marks, my guy from the beginning, the OG on the East Coast. He's got the most, he does. Lucha Daddy, what's up, my man?
What is up? Lucha Daddy's here, baby. You just put those sunglasses on. It reminded me of that one time, like, I don't know, episode 6 when we did the Macho Man off.
Yeah.
It was a great time. But welcome to the podcast, everyone. We do have a lot of wrestling schools to talk about today. But first, we have another one to introduce to the pod today.
Yes, we do. You guys know him as the Green Hat Guy. We call him El Sombrero Verde. But today is an extra special day because happy birthday to the Green Hat Guy, Dylan.
What's going on, boys?
To Steph. You're a hoe with big breasts. So take the night off from hooking if you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Happy birthday, Dylan.
Primo had to cook up something for you, brother, for your birthday, right? You know that.
That's the nicest thing anybody has said to me today. I'm so honored. We're vibing and thriving over here. Another year older, another year wiser, maybe. Another year of wrestling shows. Got a lot to talk about today. I'm fired up, boys. Let's go.
Yeah, man. So you're entering into another decade, another stratosphere in your young self. But for real, man, happy birthday from all of us here, and hope you had a good day, man. Hope it was fun. I'm trying to think, Primo, help me out, man. Have we ever did a podcast on somebody's actual birthday on the pod? Like, it always seems like the day's usually missed.
Yeah, usually is around our birthday.
Yeah. But we nailed it this time. So
absolutely right on the money.
Yeah, making everybody else wait to celebrate. Priorities come first. Got to get the pod in. We can celebrate. Sure. There'll be cake this weekend. It'll be fine, but podcast has to come first.
Right. We appreciate it. Priorities. I know all your fans and everybody tuning in right now. I know a lot of people is probably going to be tuning in to tell you, happy birthday tonight on the stream. So I want to thank everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook, and thank everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, SportzWire Radio. We really do appreciate you guys listening to us. We really do. Let's kick it off the way that we know how, because you just found the most underrated podcast in what I used to say. I can't even remember.
Must listen.
Yeah. Like that. So
we're Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you found us. So let's have a good time, man. Let's kick it off, Primo, with a little hot start. 5 topics in the world of pro wrestling. All right, man. Well, we got to talk about it, man. We're going to talk about where we was, in time and history when our truth, the sacred, the beloved, our guy, you know what I mean? That always, kept the humor and love and just had us always interested in wrestling. He got released last week along with Carlito, and I think maybe a few others, maybe Valhalla, I think was one of the other ones, but 55 years old, man. Like this was disappointing to the wrestling community, man.
Yeah, got a lot to say about this one. Where do you start? Like, yeah, first, okay, 55 years old.
Sure.
That's not young. We can no offense, DB. That's not
Wrestling,
young.
right?
Wrestling wise,
yeah,
it's
right,
not
yeah.
young. But like, yeah, he's not out there putting on 5-star matches every week. But you're the freaking WWE. For the past 55 years, your whole point of focus hasn't been the wrestling; it's been the entertainment.
Right.
Who cares if he's not doing Will Ospreay stuff? He's the most entertaining guy on the show, or one of them at least. Really, this is just, like, in my opinion, just TKO. We're going to see a lot more of this.
Yeah.
It's, they're very business minded, got to make every last penny they can. It doesn't matter if that waters down the product or not. What they're seeing, we got this 55-year-old guy on contract. We can let him go, not pay him his salary, and we can just grab some guy that's going to get cut by an NFL team here in 3 weeks and get him on a contract, get him in the PC, and get him going. So very disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's a treasure, a true gem to all wrestling fans, and from what you hear from his peers, it was the same sentiment was shared by them. He has a great career, even spanning past the WWE, holding the NWA championship. A lot of people forget that. Yeah, everything that he's done. And sure, he had, he's become known as like the guy that makes people break because he's so damn funny, but he's also athletic as hell. And it's just always, you could always rely on him to enhance whatever moment was going to be happening at the time. I would say that you're right. 55 years old isn't young in the wrestling business, but R-Truth, he hasn't aged a bit. So that dude is.
I know, man.
Right.
He must be a vampire or something, but he still looks fantastic shape. He looks great. Definitely. I mean, granted, I bet he's been around so long doing his thing. I'm sure somebody at the top that doesn't know any better, in TKO, that's probably like looking at the numbers and saying, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How's this guy making this? And
somebody that don't understand what he means to us. Man.
Right. Exactly. So they took that part out of it, I'm sure. And it was a pure business decision, unfortunately. But, I mean, good on him for knowing his worth and not just settling as well. Right. So he's definitely going to be missed. I would say, as we always say in the wrestling business, never say never. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to believe it at first, you know what I mean? But just because of the jokes and stuff that he pulls and, and then I start seeing the, people coming out and talking about it. I've got his tweet pulled up right now if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook. It says, "I'm sorry to inform you all, I just got released from WWE. I want to thank WWE for the ride, but mostly I want to thank each and every one of you, in capital letters, who was along for the ride. Thank you for the love, support, appreciation you have given me over the years. Thank you." And to reiterate what you said, Primo, about him not aging a bit, dude, I waited on him back in my bartending days because he's from Charlotte, where I, did most of my bartending, drink slinging at, and I waited on him at a nightclub, and he looks the exact same now as he did then, and that was, God, I'm 50 now, so that was 25 years ago, 28 years ago, whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah, he's just, but here's the thing, is like, so, if Vince, I feel like if Vince was still here, he would still have a job, you know what I mean? Because Vince loved him. And always kind of protect him. And I feel like Vince wasn't around to protect him, but yeah, I just feel like, we'll see what happens, with this moving forward. I mean, the dude's going to make a ton of money everywhere else. You know what I mean? So,
oh yeah. All he has to do is walk in a room and he's getting paid to do it. So
yeah, he does. But, part of me was like, man, it seemed a little planned just because he got to wrestle Cena at last, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, that was kind of a cool way to go out. Wait, did they plan that?
Yeah, you know
what I mean?
I thought the same thing. I mean, obviously, I feel like by then it was kind of probably already in motion.
Yeah.
These contract negotiations negotiations usually
Sure.
take time. They aren't instantaneous like that. So I'm sure that going into that Cena match, he knew, and what a cool, match to go out on. And yeah,
Ron Cena forever.
yeah, that was great. I mean, it really was great. And he's
Agreed.
he's awesome. I don't think that he could really go wrong doing anything, whether it's just chilling or just coming back for legend spots every now and then, or even going and doing something somewhere else. I did see somewhere, I don't remember where it was. It could have been in the Discord. It could have been in an Artex thread. It could have been, hell, it could have been my brother. I don't remember who said this.
Yeah.
But somebody said it'd be funny if he walked into like AEW or TNA and being like, and act like it's WWE.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Be like, my bad.
Right. Yeah. That was like one of my funniest spots ever when he shows up at that women's Money in the Bank match. He's looking around. He's like, "Oh, my bad." Like just pure humor alone, man. That guy should, have a, man, let's immediately move him over to a Legends contract if that's still a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Like it might be like he got like cut from his like regular wrestling contract, and they're giving him like a Legends type deal. But
right.
Even then, like how it's all playing out, that's a very weird way to go about that. But who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, man. But we'll see him soon, regardless, for sure. All right, topic number 2, boys. Tell me, man, Wyatt 6 2.0. You think it's going to make it this time? They came back on Bray's birthday. They did a pretty big, I thought if they were going to come back, it'd probably be like closer to like Survivor Series time. That way faction versus faction, they can do a war games or something, but now they're back now. What do you guys think, man? You think you can make it work this time?
I mean, like we said last time, if it doesn't work, are they going to tell them? I do think that that's the case. As far as now, this is in the, I guess, viewers' eyes. This is kind of like their second attempt. Right. And maybe to them it was never a second. Maybe it was always planned for them to kind of like, go away for a minute and then restart what they were doing. But I don't know. I think that it will always, and I don't know. As of right now, they are in the mid-card scene to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I like them coming back like in the tag division. It's kind of who they've been focused on last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Where it's not like a clear main event, like they're going for like the top story on SmackDown type thing.
Right.
I hope it lasts. I like everybody involved. I like the gimmick. I hope they stick around. I did see something kind of like Primo. I don't remember where I saw it because I read so much different stuff. Somebody like suggested maybe they should come in and just do like a month or 2 at a time. Like come in, do a storyline, and then take a couple months off.
Yeah.
And come back, go for somebody else.
Yeah.
To keep it from getting stale. Like give you something to look forward to coming back. Interested to see if they have any involvement with Alexa Bliss. Ever since she came back, really ever since they debuted, that's kind of been the speculation of, they're going to bring Bliss back and put them with her. They haven't teased that yet. Bliss did have the doll back a couple weeks ago, but who knows if that's all connected or not.
I might have missed this last time too. They were calling him Joe Gacy this time. Are they just saying their names outright now? I heard a commentator say that, instead of the pig or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't remember
they
if
said,
they
he
were
definitely
last time
said
or
Joe
not.
Gacy.
Yeah,
because when he did that like springboard moonsault thing, they said Joe Gacy. I was like, all right, we're going, but yeah, I don't know, man. I wanted to make it just because of what it's affiliated with. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah,
and I agree. That might be making it might be addition by subtraction. They might have to take away a little bit from it,
I also think that they need to do more than just turn the lights off and showing up,
ambush people.
Ambush people. I think they should do more like, what stuff I really enjoyed as far as darker gimmicks was like, the the ministry, doing some of their stuff that they did with people, like, not saying they're going to crucify anybody on TV, but even like Cain would kidnap people and throw them in a room. Like, they could do stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's something there. You know what I mean? It's just they got to figure out how to get to it. But all right, topic number 3, boys. This one's fun, man. This one's going to blow your mind here a little bit. So Kevin Von Erich, all right, for his birthday, he's doing a birthday raffle, and for I think it's like $30 entry. All proceeds go to suicide prevention, I believe. You can have a night at his house. You got to stay like his little outside cottage, but basically, the raffle, if your name gets picked, you get to stay the night at Kevin Von Erich's ranch. Would that be cool to you guys, or would y'all kind of be like, I don't know, man? But I would go. Go. I'd smoke a joint with him for sure.
My very, very first thought was, this is $30 to enter.
Yeah,
I get $30 for a chance to stay at Kevin Von Erich's ranch, but I got to pay $90 just to potentially text Mercedes Monet's AI bot.
Right. Yeah.
This sounds like the start of a wrestling horror movie. I won the raffle. I get to go stay at the Von Erich house.
Yeah,
and then it just goes downhill from there. It'd be interesting, like you said, DV. You just have to go smoke pot with him, or what? But
you got to walk barefoot everywhere.
Yeah.
So it says you win a night stay at the Von Erich Ranch. Okay, first prize is one night stay at the Von Erich Ranch plus lots of other Von Erich goodies for 3 lucky winners. Okay, so I guess 3 people get to stay. So you buy a ticket, and all the proceeds go to Texas Suicide Prevention, which is awesome that he's doing this. But
right,
I'm mind blown. I'm a little intrigued. I'm kind of like, I don't know why you'd want to do this, but they probably got like a little cottage out there that's like a guest house or whatever. But second prize, you get. Let's see, there was other things that was also involved. You get an 8x10 signed by Kevin if you don't get to stay at his house, memorabilia and all that kind of stuff. And I've recently listened to Kevin Von Erich on podcasts, and I'm somewhat starting to get a little like infatuated a little bit with like just all the different branches of this Von Erich family and story. So anytime I get to hear Kevin talk about it, and so this is intriguing, man. But it is kind of like this free spirit kind of dude that he is. It kind of makes sense, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it seems like a Kevin Von Erich thing. But I just want to know your guys' opinion if you'd actually do this. But
now, this is in Texas? It's not Hawaii. Is he back in Texas?
He said Von Erich Ranch, so I don't know if he calls that his. I think he goes back and forth between now because his boys are at the one in Texas, I believe.
Yeah, because like that could be a difference. Or you going to some cottage in Hawaii, or are you going to a cottage in middle of nowhere, Texas? Like but that's interesting.
Yeah. Interested in the world of wrestling right there. All right, topic number 4. I want to see if you guys agree here with the kind of the IWC. We know how they can be. So a lot of like hardcore TNA fans, I've been reading up on this a little bit. They're a little pissed that somebody like Trick Williams from the big company, come and took the belt away from somebody like Joe Hendry, who was a organically grown TNA champion, that kind of stuff there. And, a lot of people are saying, this is kind of like, big brother, keeping little brother's thumb on them, I don't personally agree. I want to ask you guys' opinion. I think it does a lot for TNA because a lot of people are probably watching TNA with Trick on there, on the show now. I think he's wrestling Santana, at the maybe the next one of the next shows they got or something like that. But
that was Tuesday.
That was NXT. Yeah.
Oh, that was
NXT.
Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah. But he's Trick's on their it's not a pay-per-view, but their special. I think it's this weekend. I think it's Trick and I'm gonna call him Elijah, Ezekiel, whatever his name is. But yeah, I'm with UDB. I don't. exactly see it that way.
Yeah.
There's not a perfect person to beat Joe Hendry. Like, you're not going to get somebody to come up and like be the next great, take his title from him.
Right.
You gotta have a heel, and
Sure.
being a heel in a different company even works even better.
Right.
And it's going to be great for whoever beats Trick, whether that's Joe Hendry
Yeah.
again or it's
Mhm.
Santana. I'm thinking Slammiversary. Maybe they hold off to Bound for Glory.
Right.
Whoever that is, I hope it's Santana, to be honest.
Right.
They're going to get a good rub off of it.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different, but not totally different from what we've seen in the past of TNA signing the WWE guy that just got released and then him immediately winning the belt. Like,
Right.
it's different, but not a whole lot different. No, I
mean,
agree with that.
I think no matter what, fans are going to complain. And they're always going to say that it could have been anybody. But if WWE wins ever in the exchange of goods and in the exchange of business handling,
Right.
when WWE goes over on one of these things, fans are going to complain. But they're going to be blind to the fact that on Tuesday night, we had Santana on NXT in the main event facing Trick, along with Elijah in the crowd with interference from him.
Yeah.
And then AJ Francis also getting involved.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
TNA,
exposure
TNA,
for
TNA
a bunch
out
of
of their mouths
TNA
a lot.
there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's constant TNA talk on WWE television. So the exchange of goods here is, nonstop. Plus Joe Hendry was on WrestleMania. Like, people just like to complain. I think, like you said, this is doing is it's going to create the hero for TNA that's going to bring it back.
Right. Yeah. And another thing too is like, if this is the end of Trick's run in NXT and TNA, he could lose that belt to somebody else and they can move him to the main roster and nobody will remember they even fucking lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
that's just the way wrestling works most of the time. But yeah. So, all right, boys, last topic, man. We got to make some money in the bank predictions for the card coming up this Saturday. Big WWE weekend, man, with Worlds Collide coming up Saturday and then Money in the Bank later that night. Let's run over these real quick, man. Let's start with that women's Intercontinental Championship match. Does Becky win the belt from Lyra Valkyria? I'm going to say she does. I think she does here.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time. Give Becky the win and keep it going a little bit. If Lyra wins, the story's over. Give Becky the win. Keep it going for a little bit longer.
See, I'm of the opposite mindset.
Okay.
I think give Lyra a clear, decisive victory over Becky. So let's squash this feud. And Becky doesn't lose any steam. Like, she doesn't lose any street cred here, right? So Lyra's got everything to lose as far as steam and street cred, and Becky, has it all to gain as far as a title. I think that if Lyra wins and goes over and moves on to the next feud, Becky can still do whatever she wants.
Yeah, there's some stipulations on this too. Last chance match. If Lynch loses, she cannot challenge for the title again while Valkyria remains champion. If Lynch wins, Valkyria must acknowledge Lynch as the better woman. So there's some stakes on this.
Yeah.
Also,
and
go ahead.
Got that. Sorry, Primo. They got that. What is the Evolution, the women's pay-per-view?
Yes.
They got it coming up.
Atlanta.
I would guess that Bayley would be back by then. Last we saw Bayley, Becky took her out. So, like, that match doesn't need a title, but they could have the IC title on it, So that's just another food for thought there. That will Bayley show up anytime soon? Does Bayley cost Becky the match, keep her from challenging for the title?
There you go. Yeah.
Typically, they open Money in the Bank with one of the two Money in the Bank matches. I could imagine it would start with the women's Money in the Bank. Who's to say that a women's Money in the Bank winner couldn't go after the winner of this match?
Yeah.
They have now, women now have 4 titles they can go after as far as singles titles on the main roster.
Yeah. Not just one anymore. So yeah, it's nice. Good point. Let's go before we get to the Money in Banks. Let's go to the tag team match. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus John Cena and Logan Paul. high-profile tag team clash here featuring the world heavyweight champion and the undisputed WWE champion in John Cena. Where do you think they're going here with this? Are we getting Logan Paul the rub, or are we setting? Is this just like a let's make this a tag team match, playa?
I mentioned this before. I thought that this was stupid before, and I still think it's stupid now. You got two world champions in a tag team match on a pay-per-view or PLE, and then you got Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul, which are also two money makers in their own right, obviously. Right. I think it's just they could be doing something different. I think this is it depends. If they're going to keep going with this, like we were talking about last pod about John and Jay. I think that Cody and Jay could potentially go over. Mm-hmm. And then John and Jay move on to that next event. But I just, like I said, I wasn't a super big fan of this.
Yeah, it just seems like something to just get them on the card.
That's exactly. Yeah. There's plenty of other things that could be happening, right? Plenty of other people that could be facing John for the championship, storylines, whatever. But neither here or there. It's happening. Nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to pick against Cena right now. You know what I mean? So I just think they'll probably win by like something stupid, a DQ or something.
I think Logan needs the pin.
Yeah. You think Logan needs the pin? Yeah.
I'll
probably make Cody take it.
I still think they're going with Jay and Cena for that Saudi show, a champion versus champion. So it's either, the way I see it, it's either Uso pinning Logan and then like telling Cena, he's coming after him next or whatever.
Right.
Or it's Cena pinning Jay and Cena being, like, I'm the greatest ever. I just beat your other champion. You don't deserve the title. Yada, yada, yada.
Right.
I feel like I should be more excited for it because it's Cena and Uso and Cody, but I'm kind of leaning towards Primo with kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, I guess. I'd rather see something else, but I'm sure they'll have a good match,
just further storylines.
I'll pick Cena and Logan to go over.
So then we'll have the men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder match. The winners of these matches can earn a championship match at any time within the next year. Let's start with the women first. Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Roxanne Perez, Gia, Naomi, or Stephanie Vakir, man. This one, oh boy, that's a little toughy, man. Like, nobody particularly jumps out at me. This could be a way to, give one of the new people a rub. This could be a way of, somebody old school like Alexa getting back in the mix and winning. I don't know, man. But I don't know. Naomi jumps out to me here for some reason. I feel like she needs something to like give her some clout. So I'm gonna pick her.
You're speaking my language, DB. That's exactly who I was going to choose out of these six. You got three up-and-comers from NXT with Roxanne, Stephanie, and Julia. Mm-hmm. Then you got, obviously, Mommy, Alexa, and proceed with caution, Naomi.
Right.
So, I've been high on that gimmick and really wanting something to happen there. So, I do hope Naomi wins.
Before Dylan picks, though, if take Naomi out of the mix, who would you pick outside of that? I would probably go Stephanie Vakir.
Yeah.
Because I can see her cashing in and not, you know what I mean, for some reason, or maybe like Roxanne or something.
I was gonna say I could go for Roxanne.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Dylan?
So up until today, I was leaning Roxanne.
Okay.
So they got her kind of in Judgment Day, like on the verge of being in Judgment Day.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, she shows up with the briefcase. She could be the next champ. Maybe Dom's looking at her. Whatever. That's where my mind has been at.
Nuggets, bro.
That's where my mind had been at for since the match had been announced. But today it just hit me, and you guys kind of already stole the thunder. But I think it's going to be Naomi.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Naomi will cash in and beat Tiffany, whenever. I think Jade will beat Naomi, and then that will set up Jade with the title going up against Charlotte at Mania. that
okay, that
that
far
all
ahead, yeah.
that all just hit me.
Yeah.
You know, what else do you have to think about on your birthday? That just hit me out of the blue.
Hey, what?
Birthday
Boy.
intuition.
Yeah.
But I still think Charlotte Jade is their match at Mania, and I think they'll get the title on Naomi. Because like you look who else is in the match. Rhea doesn't need it. If Rhea's gonna get a title match, she can just come out on Raw and say, "Hey, I've got a title match tonight," and everybody's gonna be okay with it.
Right.
And you got Stephanie and Julia. They're both brand new to the main roster.
Right.
So like, I could see them winning it, but I think they'll build up both of them on the main roster a little more. And
this is both of them's first big pay-per-view.
Exactly. Yeah. Alexa's kind of in the Rhea role, where it's like if Alexa's going to get a title shot, they can kind of do that without having her cash in and go through all that.
Yeah.
But, so I'm with you guys. We'll make it a clean sweep, taking Naomi, but Roxanne will be my backup.
Wow, I don't know if this ever happened on the show before. Kind of strange things happening on your birthday, Dylan.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
All right, so men's Money in the Bank. Let's make one last pick, boys. Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Seth freaking Rollins, Penta, El Zero Miedo, Andrade. Nope, none of us are picking him, and El Grande Americano. I'm gonna let Primo go first on this one. Primo, you go first this time.
Well, you know who I'd like to win.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, if it was my choice, I would have none other than Seth Rollins win, because he's the one that I would love to win. But I don't know if that's the case or what's going to happen, because there's probably going to be some interference with other people like CM Punk, Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Then you got El Grande Americano. This isn't his storyline. He's the greatest luchador of all time, so he's got other things to do. Right. Andrade, I don't see that. Penta, I love him. I just not yet.
Right, not yet. Yeah.
Solo.
Penta in a ladder match is going to be
interesting.
sweet, though.
Yeah.
Solo's interesting. And LA Knight's a sleeper.
Yeah.
So for me, it's between Solo and LA Knight. But if I had to choose, I guess I'm going to say, yeah. Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
LA Knight.
What do you think, Dylan? Who you got?
I think it's scary how aligned Primo and I are aligned on this.
Never good.
Seth seems like the obvious one, right?
Yes.
You know, if you talk about like title contention, it's Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
You know, the hype of the century, all that backstory.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see him getting the briefcase. I think it would be cool. I don't see him getting the briefcase. I think Punk or Sammy, neither one's on the card. I could definitely see them getting involved. Andrade, he's going to have some cool spots, but there's nobody picking Andrade.
Right.
So play this part back in a couple of weeks when Andrade's got the case, and we're all like, yeah, there's no chance of him winning.
I wouldn't hate it. I would not hate it.
Yeah.
That means we're doing something, but, you know.
Penta, I kind of put Penta in that same spot as like Julia and Stephanie from the women's match.
Yeah.
It's a good showcase. I don't see him winning it yet. And I think Solo's feud is with Jacob. I don't think they need the briefcase right now.
Right.
So I'm kind of like almost just left with Mr. L.A. Balls. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if I really believe it, but that's who I'm picking.
Yeah, I would love to see it, man. And I always think too. So, all right, so heel, I think, is going to win the women's. You know, so is this set up for a face finish at the end? You know, and I think last year maybe I picked them. I can't remember, but like I felt like, you know, there was one year where I was really into them, and you know, I don't know, man. I'm just going to learn from my lessons. I'm not going to pick LA Knight this time. Seth freaking Rollins is the story right now with this faction. Imagine that group with a briefcase. That would be fun. I think Seth could do a lot with that. The boys could protect him, you know, as, you know, a way to get to champ. So, you know, I kind of, you know, and I totally agree with you guys. Like, you know, LA seems right, but I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with Hardcore Story and say they go Seth, because I don't know, like it just seems more intriguing. Storyline with him having it. So yeah, but like, you know, I wouldn't be mad at LA.
I'm hoping Seth wins. I'm
Yes, I mean that's my best case
Yes.
scenario.
Right.
That's
I'm
that's
just
the best
picking LA.
story, right? Yeah.
I'm not
I just like
confident
to be
about
right,
it, but I'm picking
you know.
LA.
All right, boys, that's going to do it for the hot start, man. It's time to kick it to the drop kick discussion of the week. But first, let's hear a word from Double H, Hunter Holcraft.
This is the Hype Beast, Hunter Holcraft, and you're listening to the Hypest podcast and all of the internet, the Sit Down Marks podcast.
Let's get hype. All right, so episode number 161, the dropkick discussion. It's time to talk about what we're going to talk about, boys. So like I said, if you're an aspiring wrestler, you looking at schools and academies, hopefully you're listening to this, you kind of get an idea maybe of a school or something like that's close to you. And this will be a way for you to go, break into the business. Dylan and I located in the Midwest, Primo located, on the East Coast. We did our best to, compile a list of, the schools and academies, where they're located, who their trainers are, and who are some of the trainees, the alumni that have come out of, said schools. So, we'll be talking about that. So, so I'm gonna kick it off right off the bat, man. There's a big school up here in the Midwest. It's called the Academy up in St. Paul, Minnesota. It was founded in 2016. This is a guy by the name of Mr. Kennedy. That's his school there.
Kennedy!
People such as Darius Martin and Tiffy Time have graduated from the Academy. So if you're in the Minnesota area, that's one to check out. One I want to kind of throw off two here before we go. MCW in Joppa, Maryland, been around for a long time. They've had schools and stuff around for a long time. Not exactly sure like who's all training there now. You know what I mean? But one of the schools that have been around for a long time. Primo, that's over there in your neck.
Hour and a half away.
Yeah. So that's always been a very credited school. I remember hearing about that one. Like I said, they opened up like 1998. So I remember hearing about that one, a long time ago. So Primo, who's a couple of your schools and academies?
Couple of mine. Let's just start out with an easy one here, like the Nightmare Factory.
Right.
Obviously, you got coaches, none other than Cody Rhodes, QT Marshall,
Right.
people that come from it like Julia Hart. We've even interviewed people on this podcast from this academy.
Yeah, from Nightmare Factory. Yeah.
Yep, and Ishmael Vaughn, and that's pretty cool. That's just one of mine. Obviously, I'm going to throw some love to Texas with Reality of Wrestling.
Right.
Owned and operated by Booker T. And we were just talking about her, but Roxanne Perez came from there too.
Where's Texas City, Texas? Is that like outside of Dallas?
Houston.
Oh, Houston. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Brian
Nice.
Keith came from there as well. I mean, lots of people have been there. Usos, stuff like that.
Very respected school. Yeah. Yep.
Brian Keith is a man.
Yeah, I think Kylie Ray went to there too. Was just one of the schools she went through there, I believe.
Yeah, so the first one that comes to mind for me when you say training school, this is just the first one that pops off for me. It's Black and Brave up in Davenport, Iowa.
Absolutely.
Seth Rollins and Merrick Brave. I'm sure a lot of that just has to do with being Midwest because
Right.
I forgot to even take down the people that have graduated from there. But any of these shows DB and I are at, it's like half the roster almost. It seems like Black and
a lot
Brave
of the
people.
wrestlers on the Midwest scene from there. Yeah,
You got Manders coming from Black and Brave. Maggie Lee just signed with TNA. She's Black and Brave. Kaya McKenna, Blair Onyx, all the Hate Keepers. Just a laundry list of good
Nathan
talent
Frazier,
coming out of
John
there.
Bonhart,
Frazier,
12 Gauge.
Yeah. And then you just mentioned Kylie Ray. I'll mention the Freelance Academy out of Chicago in association with Freelance Wrestling, obviously. The trainers they had listed, you got Isaiah Velasquez, you got Kylie Ray, you got GPA, all on their trainers list.
Right.
Great talent there. Like I said, I forgot to write down who's graduated, so I don't know exactly. But look at the Freelance
Yeah.
roster.
Sean Galway's been on the
Sean
podcast.
Galway was
He's-
up there, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
Darius
Alfonso
Latrell.
Gonzalez, Darius
Right.
Latrell,
Regan Lydell.
right.
Alfonso
right.
Gonzalez.
Yeah. A good bunch of talent coming out
Ton
of
of people. Yeah.
Chicago
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump over to the East Coast, man. A little school in Nutley, New Jersey, started in 1999. A guy by the name of Kevin Knight. School is IWF. They've produced people such as Tasha Steeles and Robert Stone went there too. And also want to talk about, we got to talk about the Dudley Academy, right? It used to be with 3D School. Now it's the Dudley Academy. Winter Park, Florida, opened up 2020. Devon Dudley's the main trainer there. People such as Caden Carter has come through there. Another school in Florida, Flatbacks, with Tyler Breeze and Sean Spears, opened up in 2019. Zia Lee came through there, Cesar Bonani. So that's another big school there. And one more from my side is Cheeseburger School from Ring of Honor, man, in Bristol, Pennsylvania. It's called the Worldwide Wrestling Dojo, and its most famous alumni is Wheeler Yuta. So big school there. What you got next, Primo?
So here's one that may not be, I don't know if it's talked about as much, but this is where Santino Marella trained, and he still does training there now, and that's Battle Arts Academy in Ontario, Canada. So I don't know how to say that first city, so I'm not going to butcher it. But that's Santino's, where Santino trains wrestling still, the Battle Arts Academy up in Canada. And to pivot back to Texas again, I love Texas. So there is a Texas Wrestling Academy that used to be known as the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy.
Right.
Still operates as Texas Wrestling Academy. Obviously, notable people like Brian Kendrick, Paul London, Lance Cade, of course, Brian Danielson. So those are really, really cool. Go ahead, Dylan.
I was just doing the yes.
Oh, yes.
You go ahead.
Yeah. And I just had one other here. I don't know as much about, but it's on my list here. Absolute Intense Wrestling Academy in Cleveland, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that Ethan Page and Britt Baker came from there.
Yeah. Santino Brothers. Ain't that where Brody King? Didn't Brody King come through there? I think he.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. There's a couple you got.
Yeah, just that AIW at Primo just mentioned a lot of good talent out of that Cleveland area. Dom Greeny's one of the trainers there. Great school up there.
Maybe Wardlow. I can't remember. I know he was in that little area, but
I think he was Pittsburgh. But anyway.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I have a Cap Creative Pro that is up in Hicksville, New York.
Yes.
That is Brian Myers and Pat Buck. Yep. Brian Myers is so underrated as a wrestler, and it's obvious as in his training when you look at his students. Right. We're talking people like Chris Statlander, Bobby Orlando, Bryce Donovan, MJF, Max Caster, the greatest wrestler, whatever his whole gimmick is. I don't know.
Bear Bronson.
A lot of good talent out of there. And another one I'll mention. Where'd it go? There it is. Chattanooga. We got TWE down there. They're a fairly new school.
Okay, so I didn't realize they had one.
Yeah, they do. I looked it up just to double check. Jaden Newman's one of the main trainers. The Rev, Dan Wilson. If you've seen Tank, the Rev is his speaker mouthpiece guy. I'm sorry, DD. And Dylan Hales is one of the trainers down there. There is so much young talent coming out of Chattanooga right now. Jamison Shook being a big one. Aaron Wade, Cody Manhorn, Casey Owens. Just a lot of talent you will know about soon coming out of Chattanooga right now.
Yeah. All right, some other ones I got on my list. Knox Pro out of Van Nuys, California, opened up in 2009. This is Rikishi School. Gangrel is one of the trainers there. Big school there. Vanessa Bourne's come through there, and a guy by the name of Miro back there. Rusev he's Rusev again now, so he's there. House of Glory, Jamaica, New York. This is Amazing Red School, opened up in 2010. People such as Private Party and Mercedes Monet has come through there. And of course, we got to talk about OVW, right? Al Snow's Academy, Louisville, 1993 opened up long time ago. I mean, come on, Cena, Orton, Batista,
Of course.
Brock, like, come on, right? Like, yeah. So that one might be still invite only. I don't think you can just sign up for that. So, but and probably the biggest one, invite only in the world, the WWE Performance Center, based out of Orlando, Florida, opened up in 2013. Obviously, you got to get an invite to go there. But in Mineola, Florida, there's a Wild Samoan training. It's been opened up since the 1970s. This was Afa and Hawaii's school. I'm not sure like how much it's still run or that kind of stuff, but that was definitely a big school. Another big school, man, that's kind of a little underrated out in Knoxville, Tennessee, is the Jacobs Pritchard wrestling school of Dr. Tom and Glenn Jacobs. Ivy Nile is one of the latest alumni to come through there. So I want to mention the Forge in Marshalltown, Iowa. Friend of mine, Jay Fowler, is one of the head trainers there. He's big on the Midwest scene. So we definitely got to talk. Definitely got to talk about him. But I want to talk about too. One, ironically enough, this was weird, man. I was really looking forward to talking about Ricky Morton's School of Morton Wrestling School, and actually, it's just weird that we're having this subject this week. And Ricky's school closed down earlier in the week. He posted on Twitter that he wanted to let everybody know he's officially decided to close down his wrestling school. Said he's thankful and grateful for everybody who supported it, trained there, believed in it, and now he's on to other things. Looks like they were open for 11 years, but I think his role's increasing with the NWA. Which is awesome. That's where he belongs. That kind of stuff. But I hate to see somebody as big like that as Ricky, the school shut down, but. That kind of sucks. But what else you guys got on your list?
I got one specifically. We mentioned the Nightmare Factory, but also Dustin Rhodes has the Rhodes Wrestling Academy in Austin. And while not a whole lot of current, it's still up and coming a pool right now. But you can see some of his talent on AEW Dark.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll rattle off a couple newer ones that are closely associated with different indie companies. Got Pile Driver Wrestling Academy in online. It said it's Tip City, Ohio. I believe that's near Dayton, if I'm correct. That is Sammy Callahan School. You got Sammy Callahan, Jake Christ, Ace Austin, all training there. They work closely with Revolver, obviously, with it being Sammy Callahan School.
Right.
You got the Beyond Institute of Pro Wrestling, obviously in association with Beyond Wrestling up in Massachusetts.
Yep.
Boston area, if I'm correct, it's around the Boston area or close to it. You got RSP and Thomas Santel as the trainers up there.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out WLW. It's a Harley Races, old school. St. Louis area, Troy, Missouri.
World League.
Little North. I went up there for the first time a couple months ago to see a show, and like the whole arena, school building, whatever you want to call it, there's all kinds of Harley memorabilia like up in the front area where you walk in. It's very cool. But a lot of local guys here in St. Louis, Moses, Swade, they trained up there. I know our buddy Sabotage, Sean Logan, has done some training up there.
Oh, yeah.
And Trevor Murdoch is another big name trained under Harley.
Nice. Only got a couple left. I feel like we got to, say a couple things. The Monster Factory opened up in Paulsboro, New Jersey, in 1983. Danny Cage, legendary trainer. Matt Riddle, Bam Bam Bigelow came through there. Sheamus, Big Show, so you got to talk about them. We kind of, not, in America, but part of it's in America because it's affiliated with LA and Tokyo, but the New Japan, Pro Wrestling Dojo, is they have an LA satellite, now. I mean, who didn't come through there, right? So, Goto, Ultimo Dragon, Tanahashi, those kind of guys. And then I got to take a second to, definitely put over the academy that I am most affiliated with. First session begins in July, ladies and gentlemen. Dreamwave Wrestling Academy. It's going to be located in Peru, Illinois. It's the first class is being put together right now. There's only a few spots left. You got to email dreamwavewrestling@gmail.com for pre-registration. Listen to these names. They're going to be trainer there. Christian Rose, probably, he is like, the standard bearer of what Midwest wrestling, is. He's been on the scene for so long, and has, one of the best minds for the business. He's going to be one of your trainers. One of Dylan's favorite wrestlers, Shaza McKenzie. She's been wrestling, in the St. Louis area. She's all over Chicago. She's from Australia. She can, teach. She's going to teach you all kind of things you probably didn't know about wrestling, psychology. And then you're going to have guys like Gringo Loco coming in to teach you how to, how to wrestle. And, all you got to do is just, Google Gringo Loco if you don't know anything about him. He's a legend in the Chicago area. And so just a awesome set of trainers. And I'm sure there'll be more people, jumping in and out of there on, helping out with training and that kind of stuff. So, but Dreamwave Wrestling Academy opened up in Peru, Illinois. First session's getting started in July. Only a few spots remaining, and come get trained by some of the best, and and so we'd be looking forward to having you, and looking forward to getting this school kicked off. So, all right, guys, who you got left on your list here before we go home? Anybody else left?
I had a couple left to make a quick mention here.
Sure.
WWA Ford out of Atlanta. That is AR Fox on AEW.
Yes.
That's his school. A lot of good talent coming out of that, down in the Atlanta area. A lot of the people you see on like Action Wrestling, if you're familiar with them on the indies, a lot of them came from WWA 4. And out on the West Coast Training Academy, I believe it's also fairly new with West Coast Pro Wrestling. Vinny Massaro is one of the main trainers out there. Levi Shapiro is one of the main trainers out there. And they're both, if you're not familiar with them, just incredible, underrated pro wrestlers. Check them out. Seems like a good school, good program out there.
Primo, take care of all your lists. All good to go?
We actually covered pretty much everything that was on my list, probably
we did, yeah,
all at once like that. I had about 18 on the list, and I think
I'll probably said them multiple times. So, I covered all the Texas ones. We covered the East Coast, the Midwest,
the West Coast, all of them that was on there. And so I'm pretty much tapped out with my list.
Yeah. Some guy named Bret Hart happened in to let us know that Natty has a new dungeon in Tampa, Florida. So, thank you
thanks, Brett.
Yeah, best there was, all that, best there will be.
I'll hold my comments this time.
Yeah, who knew he was a fan of the pod? So appreciate it, Brett. All right, that's going to do it for the Dropkick discussion of the week. Primo, time to take us home, Daddy.
Hello, guys. This is RPD, former professional boxer, now professional wrestler. And you're listening to Sit Down Marks.
Sit Down Marks.
Man, we really appreciate everybody watching us on YouTube and Facebook. I want to thank everybody listening on Apple, Spotify, all those podcast platforms out there, and our friends over at SportzWire Radio. Thank you guys so much for checking us out today. If you got a service or product, email dbonthemic@yahoo.com or hit us up on any of the Sit Down Marks socials. And while you're there, go give us a follow. Go give Primo a follow. Go give Dylan a follow on social media. We really appreciate it. Just let you know, we do have Discord. If you're into, chatting, we'd love to have you there. Come join us, talk wrestling with us.
Come argue with us.
Yeah. Message us on any platform and we can get you that link. So big stuff coming up, man. Big stuff on the way. Lots of stuff happening with the pod. We got some big news that's going to be, dropping later about the podcast and Dreamwave Wrestling. We'll just leave it at that. Big things are going to be happening coming up. So excited for our new little project we will have coming up, and we're really, really excited for it. But before we get out of here, Dylan, let's talk weekend preview, brother. I know you went to St. Louis Anarchy last week, and I watched that card from home.
Oh,
Billy
boy.
Starks, Laney
Boy.
Go look that one up, kids.
Oh, my gosh. I don't even know where to start. I had in my preview last week that Billy and Laney was going to be match of the weekend, but I was not even ready for that. I won't spoil it just in case somebody does want to go watch it.
Sure.
But just an incredible, roughly 20 minutes, incredible professional wrestling. The fact that is still on the indies and not somewhere on TV is a crime. Come on, Tony Khan. Laney needs that contract. Let's freaking go already. Incredible card, top to bottom at Anarchy last week. Camaro Jackson, Aaron Williams had a amazing main event, 25 minutes or so for the title up there. Really good stuff. So that was last week. We'll jump forward to this week. Real quick, that Anarchy Laney Billy match, it is already available on YouTube. St. Louis Anarchy's YouTube for free. So definitely go check that out.
Free, people.
Free 99. This week, bit of a slower week. We get these every so often.
Yep.
I only had 2 shows on my preview this week, and they're both GCW. Saturday, they have their Tournament of Survival. It's the 10th annual Tournament of Survival, one of the biggest deathmatch tournaments in the world. 4 first-round matches announced. There is John Wayne Murdoch, who won last year. He is taking on Mr. Danger. Danger is one of those WWA4 talent I was just talking about. Another first-round match. We got the Bobby Beverly versus good luck here. Daiju Wakamatsu is what we'll go with.
Nailed it.
Then there's a triple threat first round match. It's Otis Kogar versus Dr. Redacted versus Beastman. I'm very high on Dr. Redacted right now.
Yeah.
He's one to watch. And then the last first round match is for their ultra violent title. It's Matt Tremont versus a mystery opponent. Threw out a couple names in the preview this week. I have no idea. This could go any number of ways. Maybe I almost said Cora Jade, Elena Black. Her group of cuts. They are all free agents now officially. The NXT people from that group of cuts. So this might be Elena Black showing up. It could be any number of the GCW. They have so many different working relationships. Who knows who show up in that match?
Right.
And that whole tournament is on Saturday. And then on Sunday, they do what they call the Cage of Survival, part of that whole deathmatch weekend. This year, the cage match is the former Los Macizos. It's Ciclope and Miedo Extremo. If you don't know, they were one of the best tag teams in GCW history, held the title for a long time, multiple occasions. Miedo Extremo turned his back on Ciclope last fall.
That asshole.
I know, you gotta hate him. What a heel. They'll go to war in the Cage of Survival. Then also on the card, we got Joey Janela and Atticus Kogar in a dog collar match. We got Masha Slamovich defending the Jersey Championship Wrestling title against KJ Orso, who used to be Fuego. Fuego is unmasked now, new gimmick, KJ Orso. And there's a big 8-person GCW versus Juggalo Championship Wrestling match. They had a group show at St. Louis, I don't know, a couple months ago at this point, it seems like. A GCW show with some Juggalo people on it, and they got in a big brawl during the concert after the show. So this is I'm hoping, blow off to that match.
Right.
Only 2 on the preview this week. Easiest way to find that is through my Twitter at DHagerJ15. That's DHAGERJ15. And the only 2 for this week. But next week we pick back up, and next week we got Dreamwave. So there might be an extra preview on the site next week.
Yeah, buddy. Dreamwave coming up next week. Speaking of, what's coming up next? Monday night,
Yes,
ladies
sir.
and gentlemen. Live 6 o'clock Central Time, so 7 on the East Coast. Dylan and I are going to sit down with his most favorite tag team in the world right now, the new guys. They just fresh off the Road Warrior Cup. These guys wrestled the Hardys a couple weeks ago. Like, it's sick, man. It's crazy. So, these guys are collecting belts. So we're going to be talking about them. And speaking of Dreamwave, we're talking about that. That's coming up next Saturday, June the 14th. Big things there coming up. Got some announcements. I'm going to tell you about that later on about this show. And then, as we're talking about, we'll be talking about the match that the new guys are going to be having against the Premier. And ironically enough, they just beat the Premier in St. Louis to win the Road Warrior Cup. So there's beef there already, and they're going to run it back at Dreamwave, and that was going to be a big show live on IWTV. So make sure you check that out. The flagship, we return in just a couple weeks. Episode number 163. We're going to be talking about historic wrestling venues and our Money in the Bank reactions. And don't forget, next week also, Primo's about to bless us with another cheap pops with Primo. Any maybe a little teaser, Primo, of what you're going to be talking about this time, maybe, or tune in for it?
You'll just have to tune in, folks, and catch it when it drops. Don't forget to check in with our socials, and you'll see it when it's coming.
Well, yeah. So everybody enjoy Worlds Collide this weekend. Money in the Bank. A big UFC fight this weekend. That one's going to be fun. So lots of
Rob.
Rob
all day. Rob all day.
Rob's badass.
The cool kids like Sugar, and the nerds like Marab.
I mean, right? Realistically, Marab is going to maul him probably.
Oh man, yeah. So big weekend, man. Looking forward to it. I always love it when there's always a big UFC fight, man, and added on top of the wrestling going on. But we'll get you out of here on this, boys. Let's talk about this before we head out. I brought this up in the Discord last week, so this is kind of stuff you're missing in the Discord, people. Where should Cena's last match be? Should he go out in his hometown in Boston? Should he storyline maybe, put over to somebody else on the way out in their hometown, or, maybe just in another random town? What do you think? Does Cena deserve to have that last match in Boston, or what do you think it'll happen somewhere else, Primo?
So obviously he's, with him being from West Newbury, Boston seems like a likely choice. However, if you were in the Discord, you would know this, people, but I said that a cool one would be for it to be in Chicago, and for this time, CM Punk winning and kissing the belt goodbye to John Cena.
Yeah. That would be perfect considering their backstory, and
it's like full circle.
Yeah,
right.
It really would be a full circle moment
Right.
that way. What do you think, Dill?
So the one, it doesn't really matter. It's not a great answer, but his last match, it's going to sell out no matter where it is. It's going to have a huge reaction no matter where it is.
Right.
I want it to be Boston.
Sure.
The very cynical anti-TKO mood I have been in this week.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably put it in some giant stadium somewhere and charge like $100,000 for a nosebleed ticket,
Sure.
So maybe Vegas, maybe Dallas. But if it's not an actual pay-per-view, if it's, a Saturday night's main event or something like that,
Right.
I think Boston would be the right place.
Yeah, like I mentioned to Primo this too. There's a Saturday night's main event lined up for in December at the end of the year. If he doesn't lose it, what's the last big pay-per-view of the year? Survivor Series? Was that the last in a calendar year?
December to December.
It was Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last year they did Survivor Series and then just the Saturday night show in December.
Okay, yeah. So, and that date is still open for Saturday night's main event. Oh, excuse me, the location is still open. They got a date, but had no location yet. So that might be a
tribute to the troops.
A nice little one to head out on if he's going to lose it on a Saturday.
He'll be on tribute to the troops.
Yeah, that's the way to go out right there. Just piss on everything you stood for the whole time on the way out. Right, true heel fashion, man. Boy, I had fun today, guys. Once again, Dylan, happy birthday, brother. Welcome to your 30s. Ladies and gentlemen, Dylan is single, so he's posting song lyrics and stuff. So we got to get him a companion. So hit him up on his socials if you're down.
We were talking Blink 182. Yeah, yes. Blink 182. Yes. and Waylon Jennings on my Twitter this week. That's our range there.
That's a good range.
Oh man, love it.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for watching on YouTube and Facebook and everybody for listening. Please follow us on all our socials, subscribe on YouTube, download all that stuff. And we really thank you for supporting us on the podcast here. We really do appreciate it. So for Primo and El Sombrero Verde, everybody out there, keep on spreading the good word of wrestling. So Dylan, do you have like that, birthday gift that like your parents always give you, like something that, like every year that they give you, just say for instance, I'm gonna just throw an instance. I used to love marshmallow peeps when I was a kid. I can't stand them now, but mom still gives them to me for my birthday.
Okay, you know what? Here, I'll take that and twist it just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't really care about like cake. Like it's fine, but it's not my favorite thing. So my mom makes a birthday banana pudding instead of the cake.
Oh, fair.
And I look forward to that every year.
That slaps. That's good.
Yeah.
Man, I got a shiny bald head. Look at that thing.
I was asking if you crumbled up today for us.
Yeah.
Well, I actually did, but I didn't realize the lamp was just like you guys blinded.
You're not off there.
You might need to go get a tan, brother.
I know. I need to get out and cut the grass more, dude.